I bid you welcome.
I welcome you to my house.
Welcome to my house.
Welcome to my home.
Hello Horror Hounds, welcome to my horror house, and today we're asking the big question in horror: do vampires poop? This will give you a little insight, I think, into how my mind works, because last night I was laying in bed, drifting off to sleep, when my brain just went, "Hey Andrew, what about this?" and then flashed in front of me the scene from the recent BBC Dracula miniseries episode 3, where Dracula is imprisoned and asks his captors why they've provided him with a toilet. Vampires don't need toilets, as confirmed in a BBC One tweet. And then my brain went, but what about this? And flashed that section of the What We Do in the Shadows TV series, where Nadja is talking to a girl who's been bullied, who she's recently turned into a vampire, and says to her, "Be strong, sweet little one. Someday they will all be dead and you will do a shit on all of their graves." How can both be true? Dracula doesn't have a poo, but Nadja and the vampires in What We Do in the Shadows do have poos, unless she was speaking metaphorically. But knowing Nadja, I don't think she was speaking metaphorically. I think she has actually squat over a few plots in her time. So I went to the internet and I looked up vampire bat metabolism, and I found this. A typical vampire bat weighs 40 grams and can consume over 20 grams of blood in a 20-minute feed. This feeding behaviour is facilitated by its anatomy and physiology for rapid processing and digesting of the blood to enable the animal to take flight soon after their feeding. The stomach and intestine rapidly absorb the water in the blood meal, which is quickly transported to the kidneys and on to the bladder for excretion. A common vampire bat begins to expel urine within 2 minutes of feeding. Right, so we know that vampire bats do number ones. They have a little wee before they take off again. We've all been there, down the pub, time to go home, empty the old blad. But that article didn't confirm whether they did number twos, but I found a further article. It was on the BBC News website, but also I found an article about the same findings on phys.org, which I presume stands for Physics and Organisation. DNA analysis is giving clues to how the vampire bat can survive on blood alone. The bat can drink up to half its weight in blood a day, unlike other relatives which dine on fruit, nectar or insects. Blood is low in nutrients and can harbour deadly viruses. Vampire bats have key differences in genes involved in immunity and food metabolism compared with other bats. The researchers say the bat's gut microbes are also distinct. They found evidence of more than 280 types of bacteria in the bat's droppings that would have made most other mammals unwell. The phys.org article puts it more definitively. There are more than 280 species of bacteria present in the feces of the vampire bats that would have made other mammals very unwell. Ladies and gentlemen, I put it to you that vampire bats that subsist solely on a diet of blood do their wheeze and they do their poos. Therefore, I conclude that vampires do indeed poop. Aha, you may say, but the metabolism of the vampire bat is that of a living creature. The vampire is undead. Right, okay, we might not get to a definitive answer for the naysayers, but I would suggest, if you're going down the route that an undead human vampire doesn't have a living person's metabolism, therefore they won't have the digestive system and won't poop, why do they need the blood for sustenance in the first place? The jury is out, but there is evidence within the natural world to suggest the vampires go number twos. And personally speaking, I'd rather take Nadja's word for it from What We Do in the Shadows than Dracula, who's a little bit hoity-toity and not beyond the odd untruth here or there. Busting the myths wide open on Grumpy Andrew's Horror House, I suggest we have today more or less conclusively proved that vampires poop.